Now the next article is Fermi-Dirac distribution function. In short, we call it as FD. It is a part of quantum statistics. Right? We have classical and quantum statistics. This is what we call as quantum statistics. In classical statistics, we have Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. If you talk about molecules generally they obey the classical Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. And if you want to find out the probability of finding of a molecule with energy E, it is proportional to e power minus E by kBT, where kB is the Boltzmann constant and T is the absolute temperature of this box. What I mean is, if you have a molecule inside a box, this molecule can be found with total energy E with a probability f of E that is proportional to exponential of minus E by kBT, where T is the temperature of this box in Kelvin, right? So this is the classical statistics. So classical statistics are applicable up to atoms, molecules, and macroscopic objects. But when you come to the subatomic level, like for protons, electrons, etc., this classical statistics fail. This is actually Boltzmann distribution or Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. And for the electrons inside an atom, you need a different statistics, and that's what we call as Fermi-Dirac statistics (FD). Basically, fundamental particles are classified into two categories: bosons and fermions. So bosons are those set of particles which have the spin, which is an integer multiple of some fundamental quantity. So full integral spin they call. So full integral spin particles are called for bosons. Sorry, I repeat. Full integral spin particles are called bosons, and half integral spin, like the spin is an integral multiple of some function times half, some number times half. So those half integral spin particles are what you call as fermions. As we know, electron is a fermion. Electron has upspin and downspin with the spin given by plus half and minus half. So these electrons are fermions, and hence they obey the Fermi-Dirac statistics. And that Fermi-Dirac statistics gave a probability function f of e, which we are going to write now, and that is the FD function, Fermi-Dirac distribution function. So in this Fermi-Dirac distribution function, what we are going to have is f of e is equal to 1 by exponential of e minus ef divided by kBt plus 1. This is the probability function which tells the probability of finding of electron with energy E, total energy E. As we know in the previous class that the energies of electron inside a metal are distributed in different ways. We have seen the density of states function also. Now, how the electron energy states change once if you apply the temperature. So far, in earlier discussion with the density of states and quantum free electron theory, we have not supposed the effect of temperature as it was a ground state, and we have not even considered the effect of electric field. Now we are trying to we are trying to study the effect of temperature on the ground state wave function. So we have assumed how the metal will be at absolute zero. Now we are bringing the metal to room temperature. So at any non-zero temperature, how the system of electrons is going to behave is described by this function, right? So earlier was ground state and now it is the excited state. With temperature, how the states are going to be filled. So this is the function. Now here, f of E is actually the probability of finding of electron in state with total energy E inside the metal or inside the solid. And EF is a constant which is what you call as Fermi energy. And in quantum statistics, they also denote this with a word called chemical potential, right? So chemical potential or Fermi energy are one and the same for the case of fermions. And anyway, Kb is Boltzmann constant. Boltzmann constant, its value is, let me write this, Boltzmann constant, which is 1.38 into 10 power minus 23 joule per Kelvin. So this is the K, and T is the temperature of metal. It can be temperature of metal or solid. As we are dealing with quantum free electron theory, we are calling it as metal, or it can be equally good if you say it as a solid. Okay, so this is the Fermi-Dirac distribution function, and now we are interested in the behavior of the function with temperature. There are several cases to be studied with temperature, how this FD function is going to vary, and we are also going to sketch the behavior of this function. Please pause the video. I'm going to use the different cases. Okay. So let's start with case 1. T greater than 0 Kelvin, or let me start with T equal to 0 Kelvin. First I will do that. Later you will be able to understand this. T equal to 0 Kelvin. So in this case, I am going to study what is f of e's behavior. Also, I will take subcases, subcase A with E greater than EF. So under T equal to 0 Kelvin case, I have two cases, with one case E greater than EF, with another case E less than EF. So I'll take f of E, which is greater than EF, is equivalent to 1 by exponential of E minus EF divided by kBt plus 1. Try to understand, as we are taking t equal to 0. So this t is now 0. It is 1 by 0. 1 by 0 means infinity. But you have to keep track whether it is plus infinity or minus infinity. Why? Because you took E minus EF. And in the case E greater than EF, we have E greater than EF gives positive. So definitely E minus EF by kBt at t equal to 0 is going to be equal to positive quantity, because the numerator is positive divided by 0. Positive by 0 is plus infinity, right? So if you put plus infinity here in place of this, and infinity plus 1 is once again infinity. So therefore, f of E greater than EF in this case is going to be 1 by infinity, which is 0. 0 means totally absent, right? So if you consider the f of E, the Fermi-Dirac distribution function, for energies E greater than EF at absolute zero, the states are not occupied, they are all absent. So you will not find any electron in a state greater than E equal to EF at absolute zero, right? So this is the first one. And you can also discuss the second case, the case 2. Of course, under the same case, we are going to discuss about the second, which is B, the possibility E less than EF. So f of E with E less than EF, if you calculate, it is once again exponential of the same E minus EF by kBt plus 1. As you know, this is 0, and this numerator here, it is totally negative. Why? Because as E is less than EF, it is E minus EF equal to negative, right? And E minus EF by 0 is something like negative by 0, which is minus infinity. And don't say minus infinity, let me take it directly here. So if you substitute it here, it is e power minus infinity. Earlier it was e power plus infinity, so we could write directly infinity. But in this case, if you consider e power minus infinity, which is nothing but 1 by e power infinity, which is nothing but 1 by infinity, which is 0. So e power minus infinity is 0. And in this case, this is total 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So this becomes 1 by 1, which is 100% present. So totally different. In the first case, we had electrons are absent above E equal to EF at absolute zero. And in the second case, for E less than EF at same absolute zero, all the states are present. So you can understand like this. In a class, if the roll number is 460, the last roll number is 460. And if you try to find the students who are filled up to 460, all are present. And beyond that 460, no students are present. There may be roll numbers like 461, 462, 463, etc., but they are not present. So you can define the so-called EF. We said Fermi energy. Na? This Fermi energy is that particular energy which is the topmost filled energy level. So below that, all states are filled, and above that, all states are absent at absolute zero. See, this is valid only at absolute zero. The EF has got different definition at non-zero temperatures, but at zero temperature, 0 Kelvin, this definition is valid. So at 0 Kelvin, you can define EF as the topmost filled energy level in a given distribution maintained at T Kelvin, okay, T equal to 0. So please pause this. This is the first case with the T greater than T equal to 0. Now we'll talk about the T greater than 0 case in a moment. I'll erase this. Please pause. Now we are going to talk about the second case where T is greater than 0 Kelvin. So we are talking about normal temperatures. I mean, other than absolute zero, other than ideal temperature. So once again, we have to consider sub cases. Here, not two cases, but there are three sub cases. So sub case, once again, I'll call with A. So the first one is E greater than EF. So here, once again, F of E greater than EF is equal to 1 by exponential of E minus EF by kBT plus 1. You can talk about the extremums. In earlier case, we had 0 in the denominator. Now it is not 0. Suppose that you are close to 0. You are not equal to 0, close to 0. In that case, what happens is E minus EF is anyway positive. Positive divided by some small positive quantity, let's say 0.001, something like that. So in that case, positive divided by 0.001 means 1 by a very small quantity. I mean, it's some positive by very small quantity. So exponential of very large quantity, something like of the order of thousands, e power 1000. So e power 1000 is very large number, plus 1 is still large number, but not infinity. So in that case, this is something 1 by large number, but not very large like infinity. So this whole term is going to become a very small quantity when t is close to 0. T is close to 0, I'm saying. So when t is not close to 0 and t is much, much greater than 0, in that case, what happens is this term is definitely positive, but not very large. So it is something a positive quantity. So what you can say is it is definitely greater than 0, a small positive quantity. Of course, the size of the quantity, whether it is just greater than 0 or very larger. Of course, anyway, it is definitely in between 0 and 1. It cannot go, but it is close to 0 if you take the t very low. And if the t is relatively large, then in that case, the small positive quantity may slightly increase. Now, let's talk about the other case with B, E less than EF. So the same f of E minus EF now becomes 1 by exponential of the same E minus EF by kBT plus 1. Now in this case, if you pay attention, E minus EF is anyway smaller, is a negative quantity here. Negative quantity, so it is exponential of a negative quantity divided by something which is greater than 0. So if you take very close to 0, in that case, it is something like e power minus very large quantity, something like e power minus 1000. So e power minus 1000 is anyway not 0, but 0.0000 something, very small quantity. So this very small quantity plus 1 makes this term 1 by something which is greater than 1. How greater this term is decided by the t. If t is very large, in that case, it is going to be much, much larger. If t is almost tending to 0, very close to 0, in that case, it is just slightly greater than 1, something like 1.00000 something 1, right? But in any case, it is definitely going to be is less than 1. So less than 100%. Please observe. In the earlier case with T equal to 0 Kelvin, we got these two as perfect 0, perfect 1. But now we got something different. So when you raise the temperature, this quantity is not 0 but slightly greater than 0, and this quantity is not 1 but slightly less than 1. So it is slightly less than 100% and slightly it is greater than 0%. So earlier it was completely absent, now it is not completely absent with some finite probability, and earlier it was 100% present, now it's not, it is having some probability which is less than 100%. So it is not always present, some absences are also there. In earlier case there was no absent, now here it is absence in E less than EF. And earlier case it was completely absent, but in this case it is a finite probability for presence, right? So this is the possibility number 2. And we can actually describe there is a third case for this, of course, which we have not discussed in the T equal to 0 case. The C case is actually E equal to EF. Well, why we are discussing it here? Why did not we discuss it in the earlier case? It is because when you take E equal to EF in T equal to 0 case, it is going to be 0 by 0. 0 by 0 is undetermined. So we cannot predict its behavior. So we haven't considered. Whereas here, as the denominator is not 0, we can safely discuss this case. So here what happens is this numerator goes to 0 in the exponent. This is 0 and this is non-zero. So e power 0 by positive quantity. So definitely e power 0 is 1. Therefore, f of e equal to ef case gives you 1 by exponential of e minus ef. So it is ef minus ef divided by kbt, which is something greater than 0 plus 1. So it is 0 by something positive, which is 0. So e power 0 is actually 1. So plus 1. So it is 1 by 2. It means 50%. Now you have got a new definition for this Fermi energy. At room temperature, you can call this Fermi energy EF is that particular energy level inside this for electron. I repeat, EF is that particular energy level for electron where the probability of finding of it is only 50% at any temperature other than absolute zero, right? So this is the new definition for Fermi energy in case of a metal. Now by combining all, we can just have an expression for, we can just have a graphical expression for this Fermi Dirac distribution function. I'm going to erase all these things and I'm going to sketch it. So I have the energy, the probability on y and x axis, and here I choose a point called EF. So E is now equal to EF at this point, and this is 0. Here I demarcate it as 1, the probability 1, as probability, let me draw a little lower, as probability 0.5, which is half. And in the case of t equal to 0, you have seen that the probability remained here at 1. So this point is discontinuous. Actually, to show this, I am drawing. This point is discontinuous. Why? Because we have not discussed at a t equal to 0. Let me indicate this as a t equal to 0 Kelvin. So in this case, the probability was 100% for all states less than E equal to EF. So this is E less than EF, and this is these states are E greater than EF. Of course, I need this space. I don't want to write it here because I'll be using it for something else. So let me draw it. Sorry, let me draw it further. So this is my E. So I'll denote this as E greater than EF. So this is the region, and this is the region for which you have E less than EF, right? So all these states were filled, occupied at absolute zero, and beyond this, you see the function remained at here. It's zero. It has no probability. It is the first case with the t equal to 0 Kelvin. Now, what happened when you talk about the second case is it got a third one. which is 50% probability. So there was a new state created with T greater than 0 Kelvin. So in T greater than 0 Kelvin case, I'm drawing it separately just only to show you, but actually they are the same. So just to have a comparison, I'm just drawing them little lower so that for some states below EF, the probability has reduced from 100%, and we got this kind of tail-like behavior. And there is some probability, non-zero probability, for the states which are greater than E equal to EF. So we got some kind of a tail like this. So this was the behavior. This blue curve is representing T greater than 0 Kelvin, whereas the green curve is representing uh, the other case. Now, what happens when you change the temperature further? See, if you have different temperatures, let's say this is T1. As an example, I'm saying, for example, I'm saying this is, let's say, 100 Kelvin. As an example only, don't take it too literal. If I want to plot the same for T equal, let's say T2, which is let's say at 300 Kelvin, as an example, then in that case I will draw separate. This separation is only for clarity. Actually, they all are together. So they all will go like this. And even much earlier, this curve will take a form, sorry, of this sort, and that will go this way. So clearly, with increase in temperature, the curve is going to be more and more steeper. Right? So this is going to be the behavior for three different temperatures. So T equal to 0 is the green, T equal to, let us say, 100 Kelvin or first non-zero temperature is the blue curve, and when you increase the temperature further, it is going to behave like this. So all the states in the middle, these are filled, and all the states above are unfilled. So these are absent. And in between, there was a state with always 50% probability at any non-zero temperature. And this particular state is what you call as Fermi energy. So this completes the discussion of Fermi-Dirac distribution function. The expression for electrical conductivity inside a metal due to quantum free electron theory. So in quantum free electron theory, we all knew that the distribution of electrons in electronic states was described by some kind of sphere. This is what we have called as Fermi sphere, right? So this Fermi sphere we have already seen in the previous video. So this was the so-called Fermi sphere. So this Fermi sphere was described in ground state. Ground state means there was no applied electric field. So when there is no external applied electric field and the temperature was 0 Kelvin, this was the distribution of electrons inside the solid, inside the metal. Now what happens when you apply the external electric field? That's what we are going to describe now. Let us suppose that we have applied an electric field this way. This is the external applied electric field. As a result of the application of electric field, these are negative electrons. So these electrons, when you apply the electric field, they will move opposite to the direction of electric field. For the sake of simplicity, I chose negative x-axis. It need not be negative x-axis, it need not be negative y-axis, or it may have any component along x, y, z directions. So for the sake of simplicity, I chose this. Now what happens is, upon the application of electric field, this negative cloud will try to shift towards one side. So the picture I'll try to draw. So this green one is going to predict the new position of electron distribution inside the Fermi sphere. Initially they were here. Now the center of the distribution has changed to a new point. So this is the new one, new center. This was the old center and this is the new center, and this distribution has shifted through some distance, and this is what we call as kf, right? So, or let me call this as k or delta k. Let me call this as delta k. Okay. So Because of the change, we are going to have some mathematical expressions which I am going to derive now. So first of all, assuming that these are independent electrons, let me apply the Newton's second law on the electron. So the force on any electron subjected to external E, external electric field E, right? So that force, of course, you know F equal to ma or F equal to dp by dt. So force is equal to dp by dt, where p is the momentum of the electron, and this is equivalent to a minus e times e. I'm not taking the vector sign because I know the direction already, so I'm taking the scalar form, where e is the charge of electron and this minus E is the applied external electric field. And we also know that P is equal to H cross K. As we are dealing with quantum mechanics, I am not going to use MA. Instead, I am using, MV I am not going to use, I am going to use H cross K. So we know that dP by dt, as H cross is constant, it is going to be H cross dk over dt. So this is the dP by dt. Therefore, this gets equal, as you know, this is equal, so it is minus EE. And if you want to know what is dk by dt, it is just minus EE by H cross. You can keep it aside. So this actually describes the change in k with respect to time. You can see here. When you apply the field, it is going to change. It is going to move to a new position. And if at all the change is like this, what you can do is you can further extend it to write dk is equal to minus EE by H cross times dt. And if you want to integrate this further between the limits k going from 0 to some delta k, this is the new difference, new position. So this is the final one. We know the key k was 0 here and it has gone to some k. In some textbooks you will find it as kf also, but I am writing delta k right now. So it is dk is equal to integral over minus ee by h cross dt. Here we don't know time, actually 0 to, we will call it as some tau f. Why this tau f? Let me explain it a bit now. In general, classical theories say that when you apply field on an electronic distribution, the entire electronic distribution will move. That was classical theory. But quantum mechanics never say that. Especially in the case of this Fermi sphere, when you apply the external field, what this Fermi function says is not entirely the electronic distribution is disturbed, only the surface electrons are disturbed. So for clarity, I'm drawing this much, but in general, only the electrons on the top location, they are going to be shifted, leaving the internal distribution the same. So only the top layers of, topmost energy levels of electrons are going to be disturbed, whereas the inner core electrons or the interior lower energy electrons, their distribution is not going to vary because of this applied electric field. That's why instead of taking this delta k, what they say is only the topmost momentum is affected. The topmost momentum is, that's what they call as kf, Fermi momentum, right? So I am going to replace now, after giving this explanation, with this kf, right? So please don't misunderstand. This entire distribution is going to be shifted through smaller distance, and in that case what they said is not the entire electronic distribution is changing, only the top layers are shifting. You can see here still the interior portions are intact, they are not getting disturbed, only the top layers are changing. So on the top layer the momentum is kf, whereas at the center it is 0. So the change in momentum is this, and accordingly, to bring this change for the distribution, it takes some time. And initially time t equal to 0 where the distribution was, and after some time t, which is given by tau f, it's a constant. So after tau f time, the distribution has moved to a new position. So this new position we are taking after time tau f corresponding to the kf. So finally what we get is, after all, dk's integral is k, upper limit is kf, so kf minus 0, somebody says k of 0, if you want you can write that. uh, is equal to, or if you dislike, you can call it as k naught instead of taking 0. So is equal to minus EE tau f. Of course, lower limit is 0 anyway from 0 time h cross. So sometimes they call it as delta k. Instead of writing like this, they used to call it as delta k, or change in wave vector is equal to minus EE tau f by h cross. So this is the change in wave vector. Okay, fine. Now I'll erase this portion. We are actually trying to calculate the electrical conductivity. So first of all, I'll calculate the current density J. So as the distribution is shifting, so I want to calculate the current density. That current density J is going to be minus N E VF. What is VF, you may say? Well, VF is the velocity. As we said, only the top layers are going to get affected. I'm going to call it as VF. Normally it is NeVD, drift velocity, but in quantum free electron theory, only the top layers are getting affected, not the inner electrons, lower energy electrons. So this is replaced by VF. Now, what is VF? After all, if you compare delta K, what is K? After all, if you take this, as we know, delta K is equal to minus EE tau f by h cross, and if you write it to the left hand side, h cross delta k is equal to minus EE tau f. But this is actually change in momentum, right? Change in momentum of the electron. This you can classically write as m into change in velocity, mass into change in velocity. Therefore, here you can also write this as the change in velocity is happening not in the entire system but only on the top layer electrons, on the top, on the only the electrons which are close to the topmost level. That is what we represent with F. Actually, I use capital F, not the small f. So it is actually m into Vf. This is what we call like this. Therefore, in place of this Vf, what am I going to do is, by combining this, I say m into Vf is equivalent to minus E times E multiplied by tau f, or Vf is nothing but minus E by m. M is the mass of the electron into tau f. As we know Vf, we can just substitute it in this expression. I will erase the other portion. So from this, what you can get is J equal to minus N. N is the carrier density, the number of free electrons available. We have already derived it in the density of states expression. So N times of E is the charge, negative E is the charge of electron, and we can write this EF, which is VF. VF is nothing but into minus EE by m into tau f. So finally, what you can write is J is equal to minus into minus gone, n e square tau f by m multiplied by external electric field E. So it is something like, if you take J as vector, E will be vector, and it is something like J is equal to sigma times E, where sigma is the electrical conductivity. This is the Ohm's law, right? This is the Ohm's law, which says sigma is the electrical conductivity, right? So from this comparison, you can say sigma quantum free electron theory is just Ne square tau f by m. And this gave somewhat better result compared to classical theory, because in classical theory they have calculated the tau, the relaxation time, in a different manner. Here they have deliberately reduced the value by only restricting the electrons which are confined to the surface, but not the entire number of electrons. That's why the conductivity showed a better value compared to the ones calculated in classical free electron theory. So with this article, we are going to conclude the quantum free electron theory chapter, which is the second unit of the BTech course, applied physics course. We have completed up to the quantum free electron theory. We'll make a move to the next one, which is the band theory of solids. So after band theory of solids, we'll come back to semiconductor physics. So that is going to be the last unit as far as the syllabus is concerned, because dialectics have been already covered. Okay, thank you.